Donovan Thomas murder, you would be locked up or arrested. Yes. When you, the lawyer, Ms. Buckets, and District Attorney Hilton, were speaking, three of you just agreed. Did District Attorney Hilton tell you that you would be arrested, locked up, whatever the words are, if you testified to this jury that you had anything to do with Donovan Thomas's murder?
Yes.
Okay. Did District Attorney Hilton tell you, with you, Ms. Bumpkus, and District Attorney Hilton, no one else, that if you invoked your Fifth Amendment right, meaning I'm not testifying, you would be locked up or jailed?
Yes.
Other than those two things, did District Attorney Hilton tell you you could testify to anything you want or something to that effect, and you would not be locked up? Just tell the jury. Just think about it.
I don't know what you just said.
I'm sorry. That was a bad question. That's me. Thank you for telling me that I was inartful. My word. Okay. Other than those two issues you just told, I'm going to get locked up if I invoke the Fifth Amendment. I'm going to get locked up if I testify that I'm involved in Donovan Thomas's murder. Other than those two. So if you don't say those two things, then your use immunity kicks in and you would not be locked up for anything else you testified to. Is that how you understood it?
Yes.
Okay. Now, did you ever ask District Attorney Hilton, why can't I testify if I'm sworn to tell the truth about being involved in Donovan Thomas's murder? Did you ask her why did she exclude that?
What you mean?
Did you ever ask any question to District Attorney Hilton? Let me ask it a different way.
It wasn't no question. We was talking.
Okay.
And we were going back and forth.
And that's what she said. That's fine.
Sustained.
All right. Let me ask you some questions. I'm going back to your interviews or interrogations or meetings, whatever the right word is, between you and law enforcement, whether federal, gang, homicide. Okay? I'm going back to those that we saw the recordings for January 11th, 2015 with Detective Thorpe. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When we say it's just for the
yes.
court. Okay, thank you. The jury saw the meeting or interrogation, whatever, the conversation on January 28th of 2015. Do you remember that?
Yes.
The jurors saw the meeting or conversation on February 20th, 2015. Do you remember that?
I remember all the interrogation that they showed me.
Okay. And then the last one would be February 21, the next day, 2015. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And I misspoke when I said the last one. The last one's really June 10th, 2015. You remember that one?
Yes.
Okay. I'm referring to those, and I'll make it clear which one I'm talking about. But I would like to talk to you about what you said in those different statements, and then if it was a lie, and then whether the police, the district attorney's office, the federal authorities ever came to you to say that we can or cannot, words corroborate, but that means we verified what you said, okay? Or didn't verify. That's what I'm going to ask you. A whole series, okay?
All right.
If I'm losing you, Mr. Copeland, it's me. All right. Let's start with, this is going to be, Your Honor, Jeffrey Williams, or JW240A. It's in Elisa, and it's State's Exhibit number 378YE, already in evidence. It's June 10, 2015. Interrogation, and Your Honor, the times are 10:36:34 a.m. through 10:36:42 a.m. And Mr. Copeland, do you have I need those. What I'm going to ask you is these are a series of conversations with the with the police, different officers, detectives.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to go over what you said, and then I want to talk to you about it. Okay? First one that I just announced.
Brian, still where the mic at, bro?
is the detective asked you what started it off. Was it really about a windshield? You answered no, nothing thug. It's something personal against each other. I want you to hear that. Make sure that's
All right, I know why these shoes ain't got no shoestrings and they brown. They for when you come to put your foot in somebody's tail. Yo got on tail kicking shoes, bro. Leather tail kicking. Yo came for tail kicking.
what it said, okay?
What started it off? Was it really about a windshield? Nothing. Thought it some person against each other.
Okay. What I said, was that accurate? Fairly accurate?
This what I heard.
Okay. And what you're saying there, you're being interviewed, if you can tell, that's Detective Dennis, and you heard Detective Gaither's voice. Is that fair?
Yeah.
And you recognize this as June 10th, 2015 meeting. Is that true?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, at that point, you also said, and this is at JW 240B, Your Honor, it's in Barry. It's exhibit number 378.
What
YE, and it's at time 3:13:02 p.m. 3:13:22 p.m. And Mr. Copeland, tell us if you hear this. You said, you know what I mean? Honest to God truth. I asked why they didn't kill Kel. Like, you feel what I'm saying? Why and I'm not saying it, but HELL, they killed like he wasn't a problem. Did nothing. Detective Thorpe, remember who he is, the homicide detective?
Yeah, the bald head dude with the script right here.
Yes, sir. He said, and then you said, that's what, I don't know what, and I can't understand it, so you tell us. Them did. That's why I knew it was something personal between him and Thug. I don't know. Just listen to it and tell us if that's what it said, okay?
I mean, I honestly go to you. And why the hell did they kill Cam? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yo, Love be cutting her own hair with the Floby. That's why she don't got no shape up. And it be dry.
I didn't kill. Like, he wasn't a problem. Nothing they did nothing. Like, I don't know what they done did. And I knew it was something personal between him and Thug. I mean, but what was personal between him and Thug? I don't know.
Next one is JW240C is in Colette. States exhibit number 378YE. 2015 interview 10:36:47, Mr. Copeland, through 10:36:51. You're saying they fell out. They fell out before me and Kel got into it. And the they, if you need any type of listening to it more, I believe, and you tell us you're referring to Jeffrey and Mr. Donovan Thomas, okay? Tell us if you need to hear more of it.
They fell out. They both, me and Kid got into it.
Is that what it says?
I didn't hear it.
Can we redo it, Your Honor? Is that okay?
They fell out. They both, me and Kid got into it.
Say that they fell out, and Jeffrey and Mr. Thomas, they fell out before me and Kel got into it. Is that what you heard?
I just heard something about me and Kill. I didn't hear what I said before that.
All right. Well, the jurors can make a determination, but that's great. Whatever you hear, okay? Next one is JW241A. That's states exhibit number 378YA is in Elisa. That's at 3:01:37 a.m. 3:02:52 a.m. Mr. Copeland, this is January 11th. This is about 6-7 hours, 8 hours after Mr. Thomas has got the big shot. Okay? Morning, January 11th, the next. Okay? And Detective Thorpe, remember being with you that day? 11/2000.
I don't remember the day, but that's who questioned me.
And on here, just tell us if you hear Detective Thorpe saying, what made you want to pull the situation? You said me and Kel and him had a problem in the club. Kel, they say, little brother. Me got into it. at the club, probably about no longer than 4 months. 4 months before January 2000. Listen to it, make sure that that's what it said. Okay.
Tell me exactly what you know dealing with this situation. Like now, no, everything. Tell me everything. What made people want to pull you into this situation? Okay. Me and Kel. You know?
Love just need that just for me. Yeah, texturizer, cause she be using grown up adult perms, right? It dries scalp out. She got sensitive scalp, so she got to use that just for me perm. Like she a little girl still. I get her right. She need to come holler at me.
You know what I'm saying? Now, we had a problem in the club.
Yeah, I don't think it's playing through the speakers. But...
Okay, well, IT's here, and there's not anything I can do about that.
Yeah, they say this the little brother, but I thought they were just in it, but they said they real brothers. And
Okay, let's
K-E-L.
let's stop for now. They're here, and maybe they can fix it, even though they had all week last
Look,
week, and it didn't get fixed.
That's the problem.
We thought it was, but it's not. So
They outsourced the audio team. Them dudes ain't from Atlanta. They from Zimbabwe.
The backup also doesn't work, by the way.
Doug just refused to just get dressed up. He know he coming home. You see what type of party it is. That boy got on the jean jacket and the turtleneck. Look, cameraman on his heels. He got a purple head tie. Oh yeah, these boys ain't going to jail. Nah, these boys like a Atlanta 2K24 black in sync. Look at him. Look at him. He got the curly dreads, shoulder length. He got the bunned up dreads, slightly blonde on the back end. You girl, it's true back there. Quay got the low cut. For the girls who don't like they don't rock with the dreads. They want the low cut. Bro, girl, it's true. It's 101.9 Slime Radio. You already know. You want to keep up with the trial, you might want to stay tuned. Yeah. Yeah.
The audio seems to have gone out. I'm going to play again the JW240C as in Colette, States Exhibit number 378YE. That's a June 10th, 2015. Interrogation or meeting at 10:36:47 a.m. to 10:36:51. And this is where you are explaining, I believe, and you tell us, that they, meaning Jeffrey and Mr. Donovan Thomas, fell out. They fell out before me and Kel got into it. That's the part. If you could listen again, maybe that was, when you said you couldn't hear, maybe there was an audio problem. Your Honor, can we play that through Mr. Kokomo?
Yes.
Love got a ball spot. Nah, that's just where you start your comb from. Stop playing.
They fell out. They both, me and Kel got to it.
Was that better? Did you hear that?
It was the same.
Okay. All right. We're going to go on then to the next one, which is, again, the audio was out. So if some people heard it, they're going to rehear it. It's JW241A as in Elisa. States Exhibit number 378YA. This is January 11th, 2015 with Detective Thorpe. And this is from 3:01:37 a.m. to 3:02:52 a.m. Your Honor, if we may play that.
Tell me exactly what you know dealing with this situation. Like now, no, everything. Tell me everything. What made people want to pull you into this situation? Okay. Me and Kel. You know what I'm saying? Now, we had a problem in the club. Is that him? No, this is nothing. Okay. Kel, they say this the little brother, but I thought they were just saying that, but they say they real brothers. And K-E-L. Kale. Okay. Yeah, go ahead. Little brother of that. Yes. Who you identified from the picture, which is Donovan Thomas. Yes, sir. Okay, go ahead. Me and him got into it in club push. What day was that? It's just like it was like a lot. Okay. So, but 2 months, 3 months, a year, how long? Yeah, about I'm saying no longer than 4 months. 4 months.
So, Mr. Copeland, there, are you explaining to Detective Thorpe that you and Mr. Kel, do you know his given name is, you know the name, Kelvin Watts? Do you know that name? Okay.
Nope.
Okay. Kel or Kel, there you're explaining that you and Kel have been arguing, whatever word you want to use, for approximately 4 months before January 11, 2015. Does that sound like what you said on the recording?
Yeah.
Does that sound right?
Smart, what you mean?
9-10 years ago, going back, were you not getting along with Kel for approximately 4 months? So since maybe we'll say September 2014, does that sound right, what you told Detective Thorpe?
I don't know what I don't understand.
Okay. Let's just do it this way. You told Detective Thorpe on January 11, 2015 that you and Kel have been arguing since approximately September 2014. The way I got that is 4 months before January 2015.
Party time.
So you saying when me and him got into it?
Yeah, approximately. That's what you told Detective Thorpe, and I'm asking you, is that true?
Yes, me is what true?
Maybe in September 2014, October 2014, November 2014, December 2014, beginning of January 2014. By that time, by January 11, 2015, you and Kel were arguing. That sound about right?
I don't get what you're asking.
Okay, it's me. It's my fault. Do you remember going into the police department, meeting with Detective Thorpe on January 11, 2015?
No, what I'm saying is I don't know what you're asking me. Are you asking me when me and him got into it?
Yeah, you and Kel got into it approximately. You could tell the jury.
Like 2014.
Okay. Now, on June 10th,
me and him was into it for a minute.
Okay. It was about 4 months before Mr. Donovan Thomas was, God forbid, killed. Sound right? And if it doesn't, or you don't remember,
I don't know.
That's fine. That's fine. And I thank you. Going back to the June 10th, 2015 meeting or interrogation, with Detective Gaither, Detective Dennis, you know which one I'm talking about? Detective Thorpe at the time, ATF Agent Cunningham at times. I'm on June 10th, 2015. When you told law enforcement, or do you remember telling law enforcement that Jeffrey and Donovan Thomas were arguing or had a falling out before you and Kel had a falling out? Do you remember saying that?
I don't remember what I told no investigators.
Okay. Did you hear that on the recording we just listened to? Did you hear you say that?
What I just say?
On the recording that Jeffrey and Donovan Thomas fell out or were arguing.
I would have told the investigators anything.
Okay. The truth is that, to your knowledge, your observation, so you saw with your eyes and you were present, your ears, Jeffrey and Donovan Thomas were, your words was big homie. Is that true?
Say-
They were,
can, you,
they were friends.
can you say that again?
Yeah. From your observation, by January 2015, you knew that Jeffrey and Donovan Thomas were friends. Is that true?
Right?
Okay. And what you said to the police was what you've been explaining. You would do anything to get the police to stop looking at you. That's all you were trying to do, to go home. Right? Okay. Now, were you present on December 4, 2014 at 250 Auburn Avenue in Atlanta? Do you know where that is?
I don't remember nothing way back then. I don't know.
That's fine. I'm going to show you, with the court's permission, I'm going to show you a photograph of the building, 240 Auburn Avenue. Your Honor, I'll mark this if that's okay with the court. Can I have 1 second, Your Honor?
Sure.
I'm just looking for a number. Your Honor, I'm going to mark it with the court's permission. It's Jeffrey Williams, 5-1.
All right.
And we will put it on the thumb drive again. If you can, sure. It's about to come up. Building?
So, do you
I'm
not
just-
have hard copies of these things?
I don't have a copy of that one.
Okay. Well, show it to the witness before we publish it for everybody.
Mr. Kokomo, can he approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. Thanks. That's show it to the state, though. May Mr. Kokomo approach Mr. Copeland again, Your Honor?
He may, once he's whatever this is, screenshot.
Copeland, if you just look at this picture, again, it's a more full view of that building that I'm referring to.
It's big. What about it?
I'm going to ask you some questions. Thank you, sir. Do you remember, and the date doesn't matter that much, but do you remember being present, or were you present, for the shooting of a music video on December 4th of 2014 at that location you were just shown by Mr. Kokomo?
I ain't never seen that building.
Okay.
Even today.
Okay, that's fine. Do you personally know whether Mr. Thomas and Jeffrey Williams were doing a music video on December 4th, 2014 in Atlanta at 250 Auburn Avenue?
No, I don't know.
Okay. Have you seen the music video, or do you know of the song In My Blood by Jeffrey Williams? Bloody J.
Yeah.
Right. Do you have any knowledge of where that was videoed, meaning the music video? And if you don't, that's fine.
I don't.
All right. You weren't present for that.
No, I wasn't.
All right. Were you present in Miami, Florida over the New Year celebration going from December 30th, December 31, 2014, striking into January 1, 2015? So it's going to be about 10 days before Mr. Thomas is, God forbid, killed. Do you remember being in Miami, Florida?
Was I there?
Yes, if you remember.
Nah, I I don't remember being there.
Okay. Do you remember seeing in January of 2015, after Donovan Thomas was, God forbid, killed? Do you remember being present at shows with Jeffrey Williams and you know who Rich Homie Quan is?
Yeah,
The performer. You know.
yeah.
Do you know him as Mr. Lamar too, or do you know the name Mr. Lamar?
I just only know Rich Homie.
Okay. Do you remember seeing after the killing of Donovan Thomas, seeing Rich Homie Quan and Jeffrey together
What you mean?
in Florida performing at shows? Were you present?
You said when? At what time?
Shortly after Donovan Thomas, God forbid, was murdered. So January 2015.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, were you personally aware? You were at Jeffrey Williams' home after Donovan Thomas was killed. At some point, Donovan Thomas, God forbid, is killed. At some point, you are actually at Jeffrey Williams' home in Atlanta. Is that in the Sky House? Is that true?
What you mean?
Okay. So I'm locking in on the date that Donovan Thomas is killed. I'm just telling you the date. I'm not asking you to remember, but it's January 10th, 2015, okay? But Donovan Thomas is killed that night. Or he's shot that night, okay? I'm asking you this. After he's shot, do you remember being at Jeffrey Williams' home at some point at the Sky House in Atlanta, Georgia?
Man, my mind, I had blanked out. Too many people were calling. I can't remember everything that happened that night.
Okay.
Man,
Do you? It's okay. I'm just asking questions. You're giving the testimony. It's fine. After Donovan Thomas is killed, after the news got out that he's killed, the information, did you ever see a posting by Jeffrey Williams about Donovan Thomas's death that night, or January 11, 2015? Do you remember that on social media?
I don't remember that night.
Okay. All right. Okay. Did anybody with the police department, the federal authorities, homicide, I'm including everybody, or the district attorney's office ever come back to you and say, hey, I want to talk to you more about Jeffrey Williams and Donovan Thomas falling out like you told us? Did they ever try to corroborate that? And if that's a bad word, I'm going to rephrase it.
Once I got out?
Anytime. Did they ever come back to you and challenge you or ask you about this conversation that you had?
I can't remember if they have. I don't think. Outside the interrogation, once they went locking me up, it wasn't nothing to talk about.
It was over, right? You gave your statement. They don't come back to you and ask you about this, right?
Right.
All right. I'd like to go to another part of your statements. And this is where you told the detectives, again, it's June 10th, 2015, that you tried to get Mr. Williams or Jeffrey, and do you know who Bloody J is?
I heard of him.
Do you know the given name Justin Ussery, excuse me?
Who would it?
That's fine. I'm going to use Bloody J, okay? You remember telling the police, and this is, Your Honor, JW240D, as in David States Exhibit number 378YE. It's June 10th, 2015, meeting, interrogation, whatever, word conference, with law enforcement and Mr. Copeland. It's at 10:40:37 a.m. to 10:41:08 a.m. And Mr. Copeland, tell us if you hear this, okay? And if it's not, you correct us. Detective Dennis tells you, so the night at Crucial, when you were saying they jumped on you, you said, when all the, and I'm just not saying, but SHI blank popped off. So what happened, Mr. Detective Dennis, what happened when you came outside with Bloody J? Because you were saying last time, and there's overlapping conversation, means I can't understand it, multiple people speaking. And you said, when I, the Detective Dennis said, when you were trying to bring everybody back together. And the Detective Dennis said, you were like, is he ready? And Thug or Jeffrey kept saying, nah, he ain't ready. You remember that? That was Detective Dennis saying, you remember you told us that when you said, and you said, you mixing things up. You're talking about the time we was in when I called Bloody J and tried to get him and Jeffrey or Thug, you said, back cool. That's what I'm targeting, okay? So please listen to it. If I said it wrong, just say it right. Your Honor, can Mr. Copeland listen to this, please? And the jury.
So the night at Crucial, that when you were saying they jumped on you, right? When all shit popped off. So what happened when you came outside with Bloody J? Because you were saying the last time when you were trying to bring everybody back together. You was like, is he ready? And now he stood just saying, nah, he ain't ready. You remember that? You remember you told us that? When you said
You mixing it up. You talking about the time we just made shit when I called Bloody J and tried to get him to throw that cool.
Remember saying that you were, the discussion, Detective Dennis is telling you, you were trying to bring everyone back together, make everyone, friends again. Remember Detective Dennis saying that? You just heard that?
I just heard it.
Okay. And then you said that you called Bloody J and tried to get him and Jeffrey or Thug back cool. Do you remember saying that? Or did you hear that?
Again, I'm talking to the investigators. I'm trying to tell them anything.
Right. That's not true. Right. You were just trying to get out of custody or jail. You wanted to go home, right?
I've been telling y'all that for the longest.
Sustained.
The statement the jurors just listened to, you were trying to finesse or lie to the investigators to get them off of you so you could go home, right?
That was my plan.
It was a lie, right?
My plan was to
Statement the jurors just listened to, you were trying to finesse or lie to the investigators to get them off of you so you could go home, right?
That was my plan.
It was a lie, right?
My plan was to spin the police, hoping they'd let me go.
And did the police ever show you, or the district attorney's office, any cell phone records of you and Bloody J speaking at all on the phone?
What you mean?
When you said to the detective, I called Bloody J and tried to get him and Thug back cool, did the police ever come back to you at any time, or the district attorney's office, and say, here are jail records, excuse me, here are cell phone records showing you and Bloody J talking? Did they ever try to do that with you?
No, once they took me to jail, I don't hear from them until I'm back on the street and I'm going back to jail again.
Any time while in jail that you called Bloody J and said, wow, I tried to get everyone together. And that never happened, right?
Huh?
Had a phone call with Bloody J while that would be recorded.
I never had Bloody J number a day in my life.
Did the police ever come to you or the district attorney's office to say to you, to challenge you, or to tell you, hey, we know this to be true or not true? Did they ever do that with you?
Huh?
Did the police or the district attorney's office come to you and challenge you on that statement and say, hey, we have information, this is true or not true? Did that ever happen? It's the same question. The single question. Did the police ever do that at the district attorney's office?
No.
Okay. I'm going to go to another one. This is your statement again. This is June 10th, 2015. Your Honor, it's JW, Jeffrey Williams, 240E as in Aaron. It states exhibit number 378YE. And Mr. Copeland, this is at 10:45:09 in the morning to 10:46:01 in the morning. And on this one, what I'd like you to listen for is you saying, if you did say, you tell us, yeah, so I'm like, and I'm not saying, but darn, but it says another word, but this SHI blank happened, but before that happened, me and Kel was face to face. You know what I mean? Detective says yes, or uh-huh. Then you say, truth be told, I walked up on him, meaning Kel, with Shannon, me and him It was me, D, my baby mama, and her friend. You said, the text said, You said it was Kel and about 5 more other, I'm not saying, but ends. All right, look, bruh. You know what I mean? I got a problem with you, bruh. You know what I mean? This SHI blank here, we've been knowing each other. Detective says, right. You say, I'm telling Kel that, bruh, this SHI blank ain't about them, bruh. You know what I mean? What the HELL? Woo woo. We talked like, while me and Kel talking, Kel, you know what I mean? All this SHI blank really about Thug. The truth, this is the truth. So detective says, so Kel's beef is not with you, it's with Thug. And you say, yeah, it was with Thug. Detective says, well, then why he? And you said, it was a cover-up. You're not listening. It was I was the cover-up. I want you to listen to this and tell me if you hear what I said. If not, just correct it.
Yeah, I said something like that. But but for the heck, me and Kill face to face. Now, I mean, truth be told, I'm the one with scammers. Man, it was me, my baby mama, and her friend. It was Kill, and about 5 more with me. I'm like, look, bro, I mean, I got a problem with you, bro. I mean, this shit here, we been on each other. I'm telling Kill that, bro. This shit ain't about that, bro. I mean, what the hell we talk? Why me and Kill talking? Kill really not saying. I mean, all this shit really about Thug. The truth, this is the truth. So Kill's beef is not with you, it was Thug. Why? I was the cover up. You're not listening, I was the cover up. Listen.
You hear that, Mr. Copeland?
Yeah, I heard.
What I said, is that what you heard?
I heard it.
Okay. And you were doing the same thing you've told the jury over and over again, right? I was lying to the police because I wanted to go home, and I was putting it on Jeffrey, right?
That's why I keep telling you.
And the police, you knew, wanted Jeffrey. They wanted to make a case against Jeffrey. They made that clear to you, right?
Yeah, they did.
So it wasn't that hard for you to realize, and I'm not saying you're not, using your finesse, but you knew who the police wanted you to implicate's my word. That's a bad word. You knew who the police wanted you to say is the person responsible for this death, right?
I didn't think they were going to go after him.
Okay. And you knew that they wanted information from you about Jeffrey. True?
Yes.
Now, when you talk about your baby mama, did you hear that in the recording we just listened to?
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about the Honorable Miss Deshawn Quarterman, right? That's her name?
Yeah.
Honor.
Okay. And you're aware that Miss Deshawn Quarterman, your child's mother, had spoken with multiple, but Detective Gaither at times. True?
What you mean?
During this time.
Yeah.
And we know that because remember hearing some jail calls yesterday that the district attorney's office played for you, and you even asked Miss Quarterman or Deshawn to call Detective Gaither on one of those recordings, or 2 of those recordings. You remember that?
Yes.
And you asked Deshawn Quarterman to text Detective Gaither. You remember that, hearing that yesterday on the jail calls?
Yes.
Do you have any information that Deshawn Quarterman or Detective Gaither or anyone else came to you and said, hey, we corroborated. We spoke with Deshawn, and she said, yep, I was there when you made it good with Kel, and it's all about Thug. It's all about Jeffrey. Did that ever happen?
The police never talked to her without me knowing. They never talked to her.
Period, right?
Yeah, they didn't. They talked to her when me and her was in the interrogation room, and they really didn't say that to her.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. And of course, it's a lie that you and Kel were on good terms, and that it was all about Jeffrey. That was a lie. That was part of your attempt to get the police off of you so you could go home. True?
What you mean?
That's why you said this, because you wanted the police to get away from you. You wanted to go home.
Right?
Jeffrey Williams, number 240F is in Fox, State's Exhibit number 378YE. Your Honor, this is June 10th, 2015. It's already an evidence meeting, interrogation conference, interview, whatever it is called, at 10:49:25 a.m. to 10:50:09. And Mr. Copeland, I want you to listen to this, that you are saying to law enforcement. So when they ended up leaving, we pull up at the studio. This N was there recording a song, meaning Jeffrey. That song that we pull up tonight, he did that song. I mean, like, he did it so fast, like, damn N just shot at you, come make a song. So this is what I'm thinking, this damn. So we're up there chilling. So everybody was up there at the studio. So Thug dialed 911. He had a bullet hole in his car. So he wanted to know who shot his car. You know what I mean? I want you to listen for this. If I said it wrong, you got to correct me, please.
So when they leave, we pull up at the studio. This nigga was another recording song. That song that we put up Friday tonight, he did that song. I mean, like, he did it so fast, like, damn, nigga just shot him to come make a song. So there's no thing, damn. So we got that shit. So all you everybody at the studio got so Doug now, yeah, Willie was in his cup. So he's like, well, he wanna know who shot his cup. I mean,
Did you hear that, Mr. Copeland?
Mm-hmm.
Did I say fairly what it says? Was I fair?
That's what it sounds like.
Okay. Did the police ever come to you after you reward them with this information and play for you, or even tell you, hey, here's the 911 call made after the gambling house was shot up and a supposed bullet hit Jeffrey's car? Did that ever happen?
No.
Did the district attorney's office ever come to you and say, hey, we had the 911 call that Jeffrey Williams phoned in, like you told us, on June 10th, 2015. Did the district attorney's office ever play for you that 911 call?
No.
There was no 911 call. You were just trying to get out of the police, right?
Sustained.
Was there a 911 call, to your knowledge, that was ever shown to you to corroborate, to verify, to support that statement?
No.
You're aware, if you're not, just say I'm not, that 911 calls are maintained or held by the police? You know what I'm talking about? That they're saved. They can be retrieved. If I'm asking a bad question, just say.
Yeah, they are.
Okay. District Attorney's Office nor the police ever came to you with that 911 call?
Did y'all?
Well, Hilton and Love
I
just
know.
laughed.
Okay.
I don't know.
Just smash all of them, bro. Crazy.
I'd like to go to Jeffrey Williams 240G, as in Goldfeder, State's Exhibit number 378YE, as in Aaron. It's again, Your Honor, the June 10th, 2015 meeting with Mr. Copeland and the detectives. Now it's at 3:47:32 p.m. to 3:48 p.m. 00. And Mr. Copeland, if you can just listen for and tell us if this is accurate. You said And we're still talking about the car windshield. Remember all this conversation about Jeffrey wouldn't let it go until his car windshield was paid for? Remember all that?
Mm-hmm, I'm listening.
Okay. And it should say, and correct us if I'm wrong, that you said, yeah. So when me and Kel was like, well, we wanted to see what Thug got to say. So I called Kel on FaceTime with Kel, and Kel like, I ain't let SHI blank go until you pay for my window. You know what I mean? And Detective Dennis says, Kel said that or Thug said that? You said Thug. Thug, yeah. Detective Dennis said, okay. You said Thug like, I mean Kel like, what? Pay for your window. So he looked at me. I'm about to go. I ain't got nothing to do with it. That's on y'all. So I'm out of here. I'm out of there, bruh. You know what I mean? Like, man, get nut on the phone. You feel me? That's what Kel was saying. I want you to listen to it and see if I've said that accurately.
So when me and Kill seen Church Henry, Kill was like, well, you gonna see what Thug got to say. So I called Thug on FaceTime for Kill. And Kill like, it ain't that shit until you pay for my window. I mean, Kill, yeah. Kill like, what? Pay for your window? So he look at me like, I'm like, bro, I ain't got nothing to do with it. It's on y'all, so I'm out of there, bro. I mean, stop man, get this on the phone. You did. It was Kill was saying.
What I said, was that accurate?
Again, I tell the police anything, get them out my face.
And at that time, by 2014, 2015, you knew Jeffrey was wildly popular in music. Is that fair to say?
Since I've been knowing that he's been popular.
And he was also popular, if you observed it, in fashion, meaning like dress.
Yeah.
Social media, he had influence.
Yeah.
And he was owning several homes, to your knowledge. True?
I don't know what he owned.
Okay. How about cars? He had several cars.
Yeah.
And he would allow people to use those cars. He was free with that stuff, right?
Yeah.
And he would rent cars for other people too, even if he didn't own it. Is that true?
I don't know what he do for other people, but it wasn't no issue.
He rented cars for you. Fair?
Huh?
He rented cars for you if you needed it. Isn't that true?
What you mean?
You would drive at times a rental car with permission of Jeffrey Williams that he rented. It wasn't a big deal, right?
I used to just go get the car. Yeah.
And it wasn't only you, it was anybody. He's generous, right? With his things.
Sustained, you can rephrase.
It's fine. All right. You also knew at that time, 2014, 2015, Jeffrey would fly on private planes. True?
Yeah.
And he would allow you at times, I don't know the number, you could tell the jurors, to go on a private plane with him. Fair to say?
Yeah.
And you knew he was touring America at that time, right? He was performing all the time, right?
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
And he would do tours throughout America. You're aware of that?
He used to go to, I don't know what tour is, but he used to go to the different clubs and stuff.
Okay. And do you remember him having go to different cities throughout America?
I mean, that's what I need to say.
And Europe, countries like England and France.
Sustained.
Jeffrey would play in other places, not in America, outside America. You're aware of that, right?
What's the relevance?
The relevance is that Mr. Copeland's telling the police that Jeffrey Williams cared about a window.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Say that again.
Jeffrey Williams cared about a car window. The man is...
Okay, I'm not sure the one has much to do with the other, so I'm going to sustain that objection.
When you told the police...
Brian Steele was just using my argument, y'all. Well, I ain't gonna call it my argument. So Brian Steele was using the argument of this dude is a megastar. He busy. He got everything in the world in the palm of his hands. And you mean to tell me he's worried about the window? Y'all remember when we first heard about the window and I was like, a window? It's no way. It's no way this whole thing is about no window. Remember I said that like, yo, I know pride is a thing and ego, but like, bro, that's going to be hard to prove in court. Straight up, that a person that got all this going on pressed the button because of a window. Real rap. Pay attention. Brian Steele just tried to press the issue on it just now by going into Jeffrey's timeline. Remember I said, yo, he an artist. Now, he used it a different way. But the abundance of what a famous person needs to do to keep their business running can overwhelm the jury, bro, and make them, like the way we put famous people on pedestals, if you show their real timeline of what they do to keep their job going, bro, it's going to be kind of unbelievable that they would even be involved in this type of stuff. Real rap, yo, I'm telling you. Straight up.
He said this is about a window. Jeffrey's window, remember what we just heard? That was part of your finesse, right? To get you out of there.
When the police would question me, my only motive was to get me out of the interrogation room free. I was trying to say whatever I can to get them to let me go, to convince them that I would help them. And this just was my motive. Every time they got me, that's what I was trying to do. They were bringing his name up, and if they mentioned anybody's name, I was going to make up a story on them. I was going to say something about them, hoping that I can convince them to let me go.
And that's what happened here about the windshield, right? Same thing.
I don't remember what I told them.
I just played it.
I heard what I said.
That was part of your attempt to go home, right? True? Not to be locked up.
Right.
Did anybody come to you from the police, the district attorney's office, and say, we corroborated, means support or verified, this this car window story? Did they ever tell you that?
After 2000, I gave an interview and went to the feds. I haven't heard anything from the state, the police, and nothing until they catch me in the street. They haven't told me about nothing. They haven't reached out to me or nothing.
Okay. I'd like to go to the next issue that I'd like to discuss with you, Mr. Copeland. It's JW240H as in happy. States Exhibit number 378YE as in Aaron. It's again the June 10th, 2015 interrogation. It's at 10:42:23 a.m. to 10:42:32 a.m. And I'd like you to listen for and tell us if I am wrong where this is outside of Club Crucial after you, remember you got into that fight on January 6th, 2015. Remember with the lip and the eye and the knot on the head? Remember that?
And when nothing went wrong, my lip, it was just my eye.
Okay. And it was the detective said to you, okay, we'll get back to see you 9. He's standing there with Bloody J. You said, so, but Thug pulling my shirt like, there goes Bloody J right there. You know what I mean? Thug and Nard were in the car leaving Crucial that night and firing at either Bloody J or Kel's people. Tell me if you hear that, okay?
Okay, get back to UC 90 standing there with. Look, I get so, but Thug put him a shirt like, there go Bloody J right there, y'all. Yeah. So.
Hear that?
Yeah, I heard.
Okay. Did law enforcement, do you remember Club Crucial back in 2014, 2015? Used to go there every Monday night, right?
Right?
Approximately every Monday night. And
No, every Monday.
okay. And do you remember ever observing or seeing that there were surveillance cameras inside and outside Club Crucial?
You have cameras?
Okay. Did the police ever come to you and say, hey, we have the surveillance camera we want you to look at, or the district attorney's office, from January 6th, 2015? Did anyone ever show you anything like that?
I never heard nothing about no cameras.
Okay. I'm going to play on the same issue, same time, dealing with outside of Club Crucial. This is going to be J.W. Jeffrey Williams 240I as an ice cream, states exhibit number 378YE. It's June 10, 2015, interrogation 10:43:20 a.m. to 10:44:18 a.m. And this is you, just make sure it's right. So when we pulled out, Thug and Nard got in the car together. I mean, so when they pulled out, we leave, but when we're leaving, Thug and them pull on a side street. I see them pull on a side street. My pulled on the side. He like, what the HELL y'all doing? He like, boy, we want to wait. He come out the club. I'm like, who? He's talking about Bloody J. What the HELL? You know what I mean? I said, I hear the gun cocked back. Detective asked, what had a gun? You said that N Nard. Detective said, You said, so I hear the gun cocked back. I'm like, what the F? So I tell them, all right. I mean, my brother was gonna have to turn around. Detective says, So you said, so when we go down and turn around and come back, I'm telling brother, SHI blank, just go left. And we just ride the back street all the way to the house. We just hear the SHI blank go boom, boom, boom. And we just see the car, Thug and them in chasing the other car in front of them. You know what I mean? Detective said, that is the same night you got jumped on at the club? You said, yeah, Thug and them chasing them. Because at first they thought they took money from them. Just listen to it, make sure I said that fairly accurately.
We pulled up. So we pulled up, through another guy coming. So they pulled up, we did. But what we did, I saw them from Side Street. So I see them from Side Street. My brother pulled up and said, what the hell y'all doing? Y'all, we don't really need to come out the club. I'm like, who? He's not Bloody J. What the hell you went in on me? Did I do it? I said, gun, come back. Who had gun? The nigga Nard. So I said, gun, come back. Fuck. So I said, I'm a brother now, turn around. So when we go down, turn around, come back up. I said, brother, you go look, and you ride bitch, we all reach to the house. We just hear she go, boom! And we just see the car doing it, chasing the little car in front of them. This is that night, the same night you got jumped on the car. Yeah. Doing and chasing me. Because at first we thought they took money from me.
Did you hear that, Mr. Copeland?
Yeah, I heard.
Was it fair what I said?
He lying, y'all.
What you mean?
What I said was that what you said. Did I take your words and the detective's words accurately? What I said beforehand.
I guess.
Did the police, local police, gang unit, federal authorities, district attorney's office, anybody ever come to you with any type of verification of what you said? Did they ever say to you, yeah, this happened or this didn't happen? Did they ever even talk to you about that?
No.
Okay. I want to go to the next issue, and this is JW240J as in Jake. It states exhibit number 378YE. It's the June 10th, 2015 interrogation meeting or interview. It's at 3:46:40 p.m. through 3:47:45. And here, Mr. Copeland, you are discussing with the detectives that Mr. Donovan Thomas or Nutt came to the gambling house and met with you, and you discussed your issues with Mr. Shelkel. I want you to listen to this. Specifically, you said, I was just like, darn, but it says another word. Bruh, what happened? You know what I mean? What the HELL? I'm just like, the only thing I did was, you know what I mean? That N-Kel that's what that was, because I was just like, and then I just remembered like the stuff Nutt used to be saying. You know what I mean? Like Nutt pulled up at the gambling house and he tried to talk to me. You feel me? I let the window down. I cracked the window. He said, darn, it says another word, blood. I ain't blood, bruh. You know what I mean? But darn, that's another word. You know what I mean? So I pull over. When I pulled over in the car, him and Big Boo was talking. I mean, dapped him up. Boom, Shannon right there. Shannon walked right past, looked at me, and was like, you know what I mean? Detective said, uh-huh. You then said, and he was just like, man, what's up with you and Kel? Meaning Nutt, or Mr. Thomas. Like, man, these ends, let him trip with y'all. I ain't got no problems with him. You know what I mean? So we was talking. When we got finished talking, he like, man, I'm a holler at the end. I'm a let y'all ends know what's up. You know what I mean? This and that. Detective said, that's what Nutt said. You said, yeah. So when me and Kel seen, Kel was like, well, he wanted to see what Thug got to say. So I called Kel on FaceTime with Kel, and Kel like, I ain't let SHI go until you pay for my window. You know what I mean? Just listen to it and tell me if you agree with what was said.
I was like, damn, go ahead. You mean, what is you? And I said, I don't think I did. I had that shit. That nigga ain't the problem. Know what I mean? The nigga Cal is. So I feel like, and then I can remember like the stuff Nut used to be saying. I mean, like Nut put up at the gamma house and he tried to talk to me. You feel me? I did one night. I cracked one. He like, damn, blood. I ain't blood, bro. I mean, damn. I mean, so I pulled over. When I pulled over, I got caught and they did boo talking. I mean, I said, boom. Shannon right there. Shannon walked right past, looked at him like, you know what I mean? And he was like, man, what's up with you and Kel? I mean, they him trip, but y'all ain't got no problem with it. I mean, so we were talking, we got there and talking. Like, I don't know how that thing, I'm really trying to know what's up, you know what I mean? This and that. That's what Nut said, yeah. So when me and Kel seen each other scaring, Kel was like, well, he gonna see what Thug got to say. So I called Thug on FaceTime for Kel. And Kel like, it ain't that shit, go till you pay for my window. I mean, Kel.
What I said, was that fairly accurate, what you were saying with the detectives?
I never had no conversation with Ned outside the gambling house.
Exactly. Police never came to you in any way to say, hey, we corroborated that or support or verified that, right? That never happened.
I never had a conversation with him.
I want to talk with you about Jeffrey Williams number 240K, as in Kitten, States Exhibit number 378YE. Your Honor, it's at 9:56:01 to 9:56:27 a.m. It's June 10, 2015 meeting. Mr. Copeland, I want you to listen for, and then, correct me if I'm wrong, that you said to the detectives on June 10, 2015, so I went and got the car. I pull up at the green store. I ain't seen them out there. So I was talking to Little Rick. Me and Little Rick talking. I called D. D said he was on Cleveland. So Rick asked, like, where you just go? Because I was going to the girl's house. He like, all right, boom. I get in the car, I ride. I pull up at McDonald's. When I pull up at the McDonald's, detective says, "You went to McDonald's?" Bye-bye. You say, "On Cleveland." Detective said, "On Old Hapeville?" You said, "Nah, the one across," and the detective then cuts into your statement. I want you to listen to it. We're talking about obviously where you were at around the time of Mr. Donovan Thomas getting shot, okay? Just to orient you.
So I was at the car. I got pulled up at Green Stuff. I ain't survived. So I called to Lorette. Me and Lorette talking. I called him. He said he's on clean. So Reed had like, "Where you just go? You turn around. And I'm gonna go to the girl." He's like, "All right." Boom. I get in the car. I ride to him. I pull up at the McDonald's. When I pull up at the McDonald's, to the McDonald's side, Cleveland, Wakefield, like the one right on the big yeah.
Did I say fairly what you said to the detectives? Did it sound correct?
That's what it said.
Yeah. Okay. Now, did you ever get word from the district attorney's office, the detectives, the ATF agents, anybody that Little Rick confirmed your statement to the police? That they spoke with Little Rick?
No.
Okay. Do you remember the McDonald's we're talking about on Cleveland Avenue? It's the one across the street from a coin-operated laundromat, and then across the street from a gas station, and next to an auto parts store. You know which one we're locking in on? I could show you a picture.
Yeah, you gotta show me a picture.
Okay.
Nah, I know what you're talking about, though.
Okay. In 2014, 2015, if you observe this, just tell me, if you remember and you observed it. Do you remember seeing surveillance cameras inside and outside that McDonald's?
That's not my neighborhood.
That's fine. That's good. Okay. All right. Now, you're aware by the time that all this happened, we'll just say January 2015, January 10, before Mr. Donovan Thomas's, God forbid, shot. You're aware that cell phones, cellular telephones, give a general description of the area the cell phone is in. Is that true?
Can you say it again?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. At and around or before Donovan Thomas's shooting, that's what I'm locking in on. Were you aware, did you know, that cellular telephones can tell a general vicinity of where the phone is? You know what I'm referring to?
You said, do I know about it?
Yeah. Did you know about it back then?
Yeah.
Okay. And in fact, you told the police on January 11th, 2015, within 7 hours, 8 hours of Mr. Donovan Thomas being, God forbid, shot, you brought a cell phone in the interrogation room with Detective Thorpe and said, "My phone will tell you where the phone was." Remember doing that?
Right.
And that was you trying to tell the detective, "Don't look at me for the killing of Donovan Thomas." Fair to say? That's why you went there.
Right.
I'd like to play for you and just tell us, orient the ladies and gentlemen jury, if that's what you're talking about. This is, Your Honor, Jeffrey Williams 241G. It's in Gold Federal States Exhibit number 378Y. A is in Elisa. Your Honor, this is the January 11th, 2015 interrogation, a meeting with Detective Thorpe and Mr. Copeland. It's at 3:14:09 a.m. to 3:14:23 a.m. If you can listen to this, Mr. Copeland, just make sure that that's tell the jurors correctly if this is what you're talking about.
Early birds and all-nighters.
I can't hear it.
So what I did was I kept asking. I still got missed in my phone. I show you. I'm asking everybody like, should I go down there, bro? Cause I didn't do it. They come scan me. They do everything. I didn't do it. They check my phone record. My folks calling me. They show you where I was. They show you every call that I talked first. They show you where I was now.
Is that you, Mr. Copeland? If you heard it, saying, you could check phone records, you can see where the phone was, where I was. Is that fair to say?
Huh?
Sorry. Were you talking about in the Jeffrey Williams Exhibit 241G, State's Exhibit 378YA, from the times that I announced? Was that you showing the detective with your phone on the desk?
Trying to show him I'm innocent?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that phone, you see the phone that's in the Honorable Judge Whitaker's courtroom on display? That's the phone you brought in.
On the camera?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And did Detective Thorpe ever take your phone?
Shit, I don't know. I don't think so.
Well, let's do it both.
Remember, they were stopping the interviews and then picking it back up, and Woody's story got way smoother, and he edited the story. Did Holmes take his phone and give him the script in the phone? What Brian still alluding to? Let me know what you think in the comments.
Ways.
I don't really remember how it was so fast. I don't really remember how it went.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this, and if you don't remember, just say I don't remember. Did anyone on the district attorney's office or the police department ever show you the contents of your phone, that they looked into your phone? Did they ever come back to you and say, hey, we can tell where you are, or these are the text messages? Did they ever show you that?
Miss Hilty told me that.
Hilton looked like she in church. Like the Holy Ghost is bubbling at her ankles right now. In a minute, she gonna sprawl out on the floor, and the dudes from the church gonna have to cover her with a blanket, so you know what I mean, her dress don't fly over her head, and the little boys in church come out in the aisle like, whoa, you feel me?
I think in Glanville office that something about my phone showed me somewhere else. I can't. She said something to me about it, like during this trial. I don't recall exactly how she said it.
Now, you had multiple phones, fair to say, on January 10th, 2015?
What you mean?
Multiple is a bad word. You had more than one phone. The day that Mr. Diamond Thomas was killed, you had more than one phone, right?
Everybody got more than one phone.
Okay. And including you, right?
Yeah.
In fact, you told the jury on
Yo, not only is she shaking like the Holy Ghost spirit got her, right? She unzipped this little piece of zipper right here to let some steam get out. That's crazy. She turned right now, trying to hold tight.
August 12th of 2024, you had more than one phone, and you'd listen to this. Just make sure that's what you're talking about. The night of Donovan Thomas's murder. JW 249, Your Honor, at 5:44:48 to 5:45:16 from the Fox 5 stream of this trial.
What? Why he go to Fox 5? Go pull the back door move. Oh, because Law and Crime probably edited. Tap like, salute to everybody in here. Good morning.
But I'm about to listen to something.
I think he's having a little.
Yeah, hold tight, turkey.
I'm sorry.
That boy a Virginia baked turkey up there, man. Honey glazed turkey. Not ham.
Do any need to have a restroom break anyway?
Huh?
Let's have a short recess while they get that queued up. It's about time for a restroom break.
Huh?
Did you provide us your phone number so we can get your phone records?
Which phone?
The phone you had in 2015, did you give police your phone number so we can get your phone records?
I don't recall. Now you're talking about.
Did you give police your phone number in any of these interviews so that we can get your phone records?
Which phone?
Phone that you had back in 2015.
I had more than one phone.
Mr. Copeland, that's you testifying before this jury, August 12, 2024. You explained that you had multiple phones, January 10, 2015. Does that sound right?
That's what it said.
Did the district attorney's office, did the federal authorities, did homicide detective Thorpe, Detective Dennis, Detective Gaither, anybody, Agent Cunningham, anybody, just anybody in law enforcement, did they ever seek to get a warrant, search warrant for your other phone or phones?
Sustained.
Did you ever get served with a search warrant, a warrant, or even asked to give the police your other phones or the district attorney's office?
No.
I'm going to show you and play for you, with the court's permission, Jeffrey Williams or JW 244D, as in David, States Exhibit number 378, YB as in Barry. Your Honor, that's the January 28, 2015 meeting or interrogation. It's at 7:12:03 p.m. to 7:12:43 p.m. And this discusses, Mr. Copeland, just make sure I'm right, that you and your brother made a false report of who's driving a vehicle because you had a suspended license. If you can listen to that, make sure that's what that's about.
So I jumped back in the car. We rolled. Got off on Lakewood. Got back on the freeway. Went to the house. Told my brother, "Hey, you need to try to kill me."
Why you had your brother file a police report?
Good, I ain't got a license. You still a victim though. Like they still lock me up. Bro, if you ain't in the car, listen. If you ain't driving the car when we get there, we're not gonna waste our time on lock you up to drive with because now you didn't kind of now you didn't kind of sway the investigation because y'all made a false police report. Now I ain't trying to lock y'all up for that shit, but if we get some evidence or get a gun or something to match shell casings or whatever like that, it's kind of like you threw the investigation off by having your brother take the report. You know what I'm saying? Like at
That pretty much what it discusses, Mr. Copeland?
Huh?
Is that what it discusses? What you're discussing with the detectives, you had your brother file a report, a false police report. Is that what it's discussing?
Right.
And you understood on January 10, 2015, that the cell phone that you told the police about would show an approximate location, right?
Huh?
The cell phone that you had on that desk in front of Detective Thorpe that you told the police about, that would show an approximate location of where the cell phone was, right?
I don't know. I don't get what you're saying.
Okay, it's me. I apologize. When you were with Detective Thorpe on January 11th, 2015, about 7-8 hours after Mr. Thomas was shot, okay, and you brought that phone with you, if that phone was with somebody else and not you, at the time Donovan Thomas's shooting, the police didn't have all your phones, right? Well, you didn't give, I'll correct you.
Just rephrase it. It was kind of
Sure.
confusing.
You didn't give the police all your cell phones that you had with you or access to on January 10th, 2015, but you did show one phone. True?
He didn't. I don't even think he wanted my phone.
Okay. All right. Now, did the police ever come to you? When I say police, I'm including everybody, or the district attorney's office, come to you and inquire of you, ask you, your phone shows no calls between 7:01 at night and 7:23 or 24 at night on the night Donovan Thomas is shot. Did they ever ask you to explain or why there are no calls during that time? Did they ever discuss that with you?
They don't tell me nothing.
Okay. All right. I'd like to go to the next recording. And this is Jeffrey Williams 24 or JW 240L, as in laughter, states exhibit number 378Y, E as in Aaron. Your Honor, this is June 10th, 2015. And Mr. Copeland, June 10th, 2015, interrogation meeting to 9:55:46 a.m. to 9:56:01 a.m. And it is you, I believe, and you make sure, saying that you called Jeffrey Williams from the green store, and it's something like this. You said, all right, so I walk up on my brother's house, say, hey, bruh, let me see your car real quick. He gives me the car, boom, I get in the car, I pull up at the green store. When I got to the green store, nah, this is what I did. I called Thug. I ain't called D right then and there. Detective says, and you say, I called Thug. He ain't answer. I'd like you to listen, make sure that that's correct, okay?
Alright. So I'm on my brother's house. I run to the car and give me the car. I get the car, pull up at the green store. When I got to the green store, nah, do what I called Thug. I ain't called you right there. I called Thug. He ain't answer.
Mr. Copeland, did the police or the district attorney's office ever come to you and ask you on your phone records whether it supported or did not support that you called Jeffrey Williams from around the green store on or around the time Donovan Thomas was shot?
I don't know what you. I don't. Ask me again.
Yes, sir. Did the police or the district attorney's office ever come to you and ask you to explain your cell records, your cell phone records, and ask you about this comment that you called Jeffrey from around the green store at around the time of Donovan Thomas's killing? They ever do that with you?
Can you ask me short so I can catch it? It's too long for me.
No, it's my bad. It's my fault. I apologize. Did the police ever share with you, or the district attorney's office go over with you your cell phone records that they may have? They ever do that?
No.
Going back to 2014, going into 2015, you met Jeffrey Williams for a short period of time that you were, my word would be hanging out with him, but that's a bad word, that you were in his company and he was in your company, a short period of time. Is that fair to say?
Right.
And when you met him, you already said that he was very popular.
Yes.
True. And is it true that that you observed he was trying to help people like you, but other people too, to get jobs, like legitimate jobs?
What you mean?
Recording studios?
No, I'm saying I don't get what you're asking me.
Okay, let me ask it a different way. So forget about what I said. When you met Jeffrey, did you witness him trying to get people to have a legitimate job? A legitimate just means a job at a recording studio, make music, trying to help people.
I can't speak for other people, but he tried to help me.
And when you knew him for the period of time, we're really talking about like between your birthdays. Do you realize? Do you know Jeffrey Williams' birthday by any chance? And if you don't, that's fine.
Well, now I do, but
You didn't back then. Okay.
I didn't. Yeah.
Is it fair to say that you and he knew each other, but like after your birthday in July of 2014, and really stopped because you were in custody anyway by July 2015? That's the period of time that you knew each other. Is that true?
No, I didn't. From 2014, I met him like at the end of 2014.
And then you already told the jury, but you got locked up a lot. The police kept locking you up in January, February, March, April, May, and then June. You were locked up in federal custody for 51 months. True?
Yes.
Okay. And that's really the only period that you knew Jeffrey.
Yeah.
The only time that you were around him or he was around you. True?
Well, really, we wasn't even together every day. I was out in the neighborhood.
So when the state is asking, like, you questioned about, you were so close with him, what you really did was you'd go to a studio. He let you come to a studio. True?
Yes. I was going with somebody else.
Yeah. You went originally with a gentleman I know as Mr. Trontavious Stevens. Do you know that name?
Yes.
Is that also Slug and Tick?
I know. I called him Tick, yeah.
Okay. And that's how you first were introduced to be around Jeffrey Williams. True?
I think so.
And then you would see him. He'd allow you, and when I say allow you, I mean it was okay. He allowed a lot of people to go to his shows, right?
I think Tit invited me out.
Okay, and that was really your relationship with. And he would take pictures with you if you wanted to, and he wanted to. True?
Yeah, I asked.
Yeah, and you put that on social media. You were promoting Jeffrey, and you liked that.
He gave me, yeah.
And it gave you a little bit of maybe
a lot.
fame. Okay. Gave you a lot of fame. True.
Yeah.
And you were trying to launch your own career as a musical artist at that time. True?
I was trying to find myself.
Okay. Later, though, you did try to, and you did launch your career as a musical artist, right?
Well, I going back to jail, they started locking me back up.
You were trying to do that, though. You were trying to do
I tried it.
You had a manager.
Huh?
You had a manager.
Yes, I had a lot of stuff.
Yeah, they were controlling your social media feeds, etc.
Yes.
True. Okay. You put out music videos. True.
Well, my manager and them did.
Sure, but you were featured. You were starred.
Right.
It was your music.
Right.
Jeffrey never had the pleasure of having you featured in one of his songs. Is that true?
No, I ain't never been in his song.
Okay. And Jeffrey never was featured in one of your songs. Is that true?
No, me and him don't have music together.
But he did put you in one song of his. You know the song Halftime?
I'm listening.
Do you remember the line, and I'm not saying this a quote, but something effective, if you mess with me, Woody will come up and pop you in the noggin. And if that's not a quote, I'm not trying to misquote it, but that's what is that something like what it says in that song?
Yeah.
And the song is Halftime, right?
Yes.
Wildly popular song.
Yes.
And the police, when that song was released, the police seized on that to use it against you, basically. You knew that, right?
Sustained.
From your vantage point, and what that means is you learned that the police was using that song. They were asking you about that song.
No, they told me.
Yeah.
One of them told me that I think I had got out, shit. I got out one of the jails and they got me the next day. And they were like, yeah, man, now you're at the top of our radar. It was something like, and he pissed me off when he said it.
He being the detective.
No, it wasn't no detective, it was the police.
Okay. The police officer upset you when they said
I think it was Dennis that said it. It was one of them that said it to me.
Okay. Now, That's the only time you're mentioned in one of Jeffrey's songs. Is that true?
What you mean?
There's not another song that Jeffrey, to your knowledge, mentions you.
Yes.
Okay. And Halftime, you know this, was made in 2000. It wasn't released till 2015, but it was made in 2014. Is that true?
Yes. It's an old song.
And there's no truth to that lyric that you would pop somebody in the noggin for Jeffrey. Am I right?
I would never.
I want to go back to what we talked about earlier, that Jeffrey was in fact this is, by the way, Your Honor, this is JW Jeffrey 241B, as in Barry, States Exhibit 378Y, A as in Elisa. It's at 3:16:50 a.m. to 3:16:56 a.m. And this is January 28th, 2015 meeting or interview or interrogation with the police. Okay, Mr. Copeland, I'd like you to listen to this about things were good with Jeffrey. If you could just listen to this.
Defense counsel said January 20th. I think this is the January 11th interview.
You are, and thank you very much. I apologize, Your Honor. It's Mr. Copeland. It's January 11th, 2015, with Detective Thorpe. Same times.
I was cool with him at first. When George started letting me hang and put me out on his songs and videos.
You were telling Detective Thorpe that Jeffrey was cool with Mr. Thomas, right?
I guess.
And that's the truth, though, right?
I don't know. I'm saying I can't hear what I said in the video.
Okay, how about this? From your observations, Jeffrey was on good terms with Donovan Thomas.
I don't think I ever seen them two. I can't remember being around both of them at one time.
You never saw them dap each other up?
I'm saying I don't think I've been around with. I don't think I've been around, like, if I never seen them. I don't think I've been around with both of them in the same place. If that makes sense.
Yeah, of course. Okay.
I don't remember. I can't remember seeing both of them in the same place.
Okay. I want to talk with you about what you told the detectives. It's June 10, 2015. And this is when you're telling the detectives you're at the McDonald's and D gets into your car. I want to talk to you about this. This is JW or Jeffrey Williams 240M as in Magic, States Exhibit number 378, YE as in Aaron, 2:45 p.m. to 2:46 p.m. And you say to the police, SHI blank, I just heard D got in the car and he was like, they just killed him. Or he like, yeah. He like, boy, they killed Nut. Detective Thorpe said, who he say killed Nut? You said, I'm telling you. Like my heart started pounding. Like who? He was like, them. And then Nard got in the car. He shut up talking. So we get riding. I'm like, where the HELL? We going? He told me that I was already trying to get the HELL away from them. So Moonton FaceTimed me. He like, boy, you know old boy just got shot, right? They saying, boy, he just might not make it. I'm like, who? He like, Nut. I'm like, huh? Man, he trying. He like, SHI, boy, you know they could scream. You know they could scream out a name, right? Man, boy, I ain't got nothing to do with it. So SHI, I'm like, man, my head started hurting instantly. I got off the phone with him. So we following behind them, that's when we dropped them at Thug's house. They was in the car, in the first car. So when we pulled up, I want you to listen to this and tell me if that's what we're talking about.
I just heard the guy in the place like they just killed him. Yeah, like, boy, they killed Nut. When you say killed Nut, I'm gonna tell you, I'm like, my heart started pounding like who? You like, damn. And then another guy in the car, he shut up top. So we get blind. I'm like, where they was going? But when he told me that, I was already trying to get a head away from them. So I moved to a FaceTime, he like, but you know, old boy, they got shot, right? Saying, boy, his head might not make it. I'm like, who? Like, Nut. I'm like, him. Man, he like, shit, well, you know they can scream, out of name, right? And well, I ain't have nothing to do with it. So shit, I'm like, man, my ears are instantly, I got off on him. So we fight behind him, we drop him. Then we pull up his own door.
Mr. Copeland, did the district attorney's office or anybody in law enforcement, an agent with the FBI who's a cell phone expert or any of the police, did they ever go over with you where your cell phone that you told them about was traveling from the McDonald's area towards Jeffrey's home on January 10th, 2015? Did they ever ask you about that to explain it?
No.
Now, when you were trying to, or you put out some of your music, I want to talk to you about that if I can, okay? Now, do you remember putting out a song and a music video entitled Homicide?
Yeah.
And Jeffrey had nothing to do with that song or music video. Is that true?
I started doing music with somebody else.
And one of the people that you started to do music with, and he's shown in your video to Homicide, is a gentleman named Mr. Turner, or you referred to him as Threat. Is that true?
Yeah.
And in the music video Homicide that you put out, would you recognize that music video if it was shown to you?
It's my video?
Yeah, of course.
It's mine.
Okay. I'd like to show you, and Your Honor, move into evidence, Jeffrey Williams, number 243B, as in Barry, and it's a music video by Mr. Copeland. And I want to ask you a couple of questions about that, okay, Mr. Copeland? I'd like to show it first and then ask you some questions, okay?
All right.
Yeah. First, I think he needs to show it to the witness. And to,
I think there's a proper foundation.
Show a
Okay.
little clip and see if he recognizes.
Mr. Kokomo, with the court's permissions, approaching. Thank you. Mr. Copeland, just do me a favor, but other people are just musicians. They just play gangsters. Do you remember saying something like that?
You got to show me.
All right. Mr. Kokomo, this is Your Honor, Jeffrey Williams, 246. It's April 29, 2020, off the porch interview with Mr. Copeland. And the relevant times are going to be 5 minutes, 4 seconds, 5 minutes, 12 seconds, 8 minutes, 59 seconds to 9 minutes, 7 seconds.
I remember. I said I don't know what he's talking about.
I'm gonna remind you.
Do you remember that video? Excuse me, the off the porch interview.
I remember, but I don't remember what was said.
Okay, was that you in that video that was shown to you?
In that picture he showed me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you need to hear what was said? Did Mr. Kokomo play that for you?
No, he just showed me a picture and walked off.
Mr. Kokomo, would you just show Mr. Copeland the relevant portions, 504, and you can listen to any of it, 504, 512, 859 to 907. Mr. Copeland, just
Brian still need to go play that interview of Woody sitting out at the park with the dark skinned brother, and Thug's sister walked up. Remember that?
listen to this yourself, please. They have it. This thing.
At the playground.
That's it.
That's you in your during your interview or part of it?
Yeah.
Okay. Your Honor, I move for the admission of Jeffrey Williams 246 specifically, and I don't care if the whole interview's in, but specifically the times I announced, Your Honor.
Your Honor, we're objecting based on improper character, and we can approach for some other matters, Your Honor.
All right. Instead of approaching, because
Grateful
I
enough.
haven't seen this before, so I'm gonna need to see it as well. I'm gonna
Man.
excuse y'all to the jury room.
I step out too.
Yes, for now, but stay
Be right there.
close. And I may end up just sending you to lunch, but not
Told
yet.
you.
If I'm going to do that, I'll send word. Okay, so just step to the jury room for now.
Look, everybody in here. Good morning. Straight up. I appreciate y'all being here. So, Brian still is creatively using Woody to prove that Thug wasn't responsible for Donovan Thomas. So he's skating around different issues, but it's all kind of focused around that because that's the only part that Woody really plays a part in, being their key witness. And I want y'all to pay attention that Woody is only their witness for the Donovan Thomas situation. Think about that. He the key witness, but all he was there for was this short window of time. That's the part that people sleeping on. Straight up.
All right, I know there was